What about you? Very welcome. Hit the wee follow button wherever it may be on the screen. We're almost up to 5,000 followers. Yes, I love round numbers, which means I know some of you will now unfollowing me because you're sick. I know you're sick. I know what you're like. Doesn't matter. So, it is the 3rd of March 2024, which means it is time for WOTW. Yes, a very exciting time. And this week, I think I may have done this guy before. I'm not sure. I may have touched on this guy. It doesn't matter. He deserves it twice. I'm talking about the Earl of Shaftsbury, who owns Loch Ness. He owns the bottom of it and the shore or whatever. So with an interesting development this week, when Andrew Moore, our new Minister of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs, well, he met with the absentee landlord to discuss future management options following the catastrophic blue-green algae bloom which blighted the loch over the summer. Now, many demand the loch be taken back into public ownership. But the little Earl Shaftsbury, well, he's made it clear that while he is open to selling the loch, he has no intention of giving it away. Which brings us to the crux of the matter. How can you give away what I'd argue you never rightly owned in the first place, little Lord Fauntleroy? The loch was gifted to the Chichester family during the plantation of Ulster, so was in effect a form of war booty. It was then transferred from that English aristocratic family to another in the shape of the Shaftesburys in the 19th century. In other words, the loch was exchanged between English aristocracy with no legal, cultural nor geographic links to Ireland. Well, apart from the fact that they invaded and colonised the country, you got to give them that. That's fair play, you know. But I think surely it's time that little Earl Shaftsbury was called out for what he is, the handler of stolen goods. And if he's unwilling to do the decent thing and relinquish his supposed ownership, then our newly established government should have the cojones to demand he restores the loch to the state it was in when his family got it. If that happened, I guarantee the little millionaire Earl would be in the first plane back to his inherited ancestral mansion in Dorset, never to be heard of again. Never! Now, the plunder of empire stretches well beyond the shores of Loch Ness. Indeed, to the British Museum, where the Parthenon marbles remain a contentious issue. Many will know them better, of course, as the Elgin marbles. I will not, and I refuse to call them that, as that name relates to the pilfering English lord responsible for chiselling them off the Parthenon between 1801 and 1812. A more egregious example of cultural vandalism, it's hard to imagine. And that was something a contemporary of Elgin, Lord Byron, the poet, He recognised that calling their removal a form of looting. Indeed, what we'd call it today is probably an extreme example of cultural appropriation. Now, the Greek government, it continues to demand their return, highlighting the marble's exceptional cultural importance to Greece. The UK government and British Museum counter-argue that their return would set a precedent which could undermine the collections of other major museums. In other words, we hold what we have. Indeed, Cecil, indeed. One argument often used by those who wish for colonial plunder to remain in London is that the British Museum is uniquely able to maintain treasures such as the Parthenon marbles. Well, the savages couldn't do it. Winston, the savages couldn't do it out in Athens now. We're doing it for their own good. We are. It's for their own good. This no longer holds true, following the building of a state-of-the-art Acropolis museum to display them back home in Athens. The Greek government have magnanimously offered to exchange other antiquities with the British Museum to replace the space if the marbles are returned. Now, in doing so, they've hit on a way for museums to move forward into the 21st century and share rather than own the world's antiquities. The other argument used to justify the retention of such items is that the British Museum offers the best possible security. I say, Cecil, no, they couldn't do this out there. No. Now we've got law and order over here. Yes, indeed. Nowhere else. Couldn't get this anywhere else. Tarquin. The best in the world, Tarquin. Yes, indeed. Aha. This conceit was blown out of the water recently with the discovery that over 1,500 items have been stolen from the British Museum over a considerable period of time, due to serious security failures, including a woefully inadequate documentation of artifacts which they had in storage. You know what that means? They have no idea how much has been stolen. If they weren't keeping a proper record of what was down in the cellar, how do they know? It could be 5,000, it could be 20,000. But the thing with it was all pilfered. You understand? Security, my house. So while the sun has long set on the British Empire, its nefarious history of cultural theft is clear to see within the walls of its many museums. The truth of the matter is, right, the Parthenon marbles belong to Greece. Return them. And when you're at that, may as well do the same with the Asante gold regalia. Send that back to Ghana, where it belongs. Oh, and here, while you're at it, if you've got a pair of pliers handy, remove the Koh-i-Noor diamond from the British crown jewels and send it home to India as well. These are interesting me point about that there. A lot of people are asking why that crown, that diamond wasn't used in the coronation of Charlie. I tell you why it wasn't used. Because do you see every royal who's had that crown on, they've coped in a very short period of time, or something horrible's happened to them. So occasionally they'll let the females, the queens, they'll let them word, but Charlie's wife said, no, you can keep that one, love. You can keep that. I'm not wearing that, no harm to you. Oh, she's no fool. But here's the bottom line. You know what it is, people? You know what it is? The world is now demanding that its shit is returned. We want our shit back. And we want it back now. You understand? Now.
That's all, folks.